Hello, this is Uber Eats. This game is boring and tedious. 9 out of 10. Babies in jars, Conan O'Brien, The Sound of Music, and piss. What does it all mean? Well, I can try and figure it out. Oh, look! This game has difficulty levels. I mean, that's something. Okay, fine. I don't know. But one thing I do know is my Death Stranding name. Apparently all you need to do is combine the last emotion you felt with the last food that you ate. Then you just put man on the end. And that makes me Horny Pizzaman. As a Kojima fan, everyone is asking me what I think about Death Stranding, and to be honest, I have no clue. Why are you asking me? There's rain that causes things to age very quickly, swimming around a void and then flying into a baby inside a guy's throat, invisible monsters called British Telecom, handprints all over your skin, dead bodies that leak black fluids upwards towards the sky, golden skull masks, Norman Reedus crying over the most impractical umbrella he's ever seen, grenades made from your Wii. There's so much to absorb here that by the time I saw the name of the prologue chapter, I was convinced it said Porker. I didn't know up from down after I was done with this game. Oh look, I didn't know Psyduck was in it. Death Stranding is one of the most frustrating games I've played in a long time. Not because it's frustrating to play, but because I found myself totally in love with the world of the game, and I was desperate to see how the story unfolded. I wanted to see where everything was going, how all the characters would end up, figure out what everything meant, see what insane monsters would appear later on. But in order to do any of that, that meant I had to trudge through one of the most tedious, repetitive, and utterly uneventful beginnings of a video game I think I've ever played. And to be honest, me calling my experience with this game the beginning, I think is being massively generous. I gave it as much time as I could possibly stomach to allow it to grab me. In fact, I gave it 9.5 hours. 9.5 hours for it to give me a single reason why I should persevere. And after all that time, I was still doing the same rubbish and feeling totally unfulfilled, with not even Kojima's ridiculous cutscenes feeling like enough of a reward.
The one you've got there is a load-bearing AS.
Oh, I've got one of them! Yes, I consider these one of the trademark brilliant aspects of Kojima's games. They're not for everyone, but I love the stupidly long cutscenes, and I was the most excited for these over anything else. The fact that the cutscenes slowly delved out more and more nuggets of lore and world building also tantalized me. These were the reason I kept on going, but they weren't enough to allow my brain to be engaged with what I was doing whenever I held the controller in my hands, and eventually, I lost it. One mission had me walk out of a room and build a post box. Whoa, gang, slow down! I carried my dead mum up a ladder and chucked her into a furnace. I burned my mum today. What did you do? What did you do today, Normus Reedham? This isn't a Kingdom Hearts 2 situation where you have 3 hours of a slow beginning before dozens of hours of an imaginative and excellent action RPG waiting for you. And at least you do different things in the first 3 hours of that game, even if it is a little slow. Death Stranding probably becomes the best game ever made later on in the story for all I know, so I'm sorry if my opinions in this video don't reflect the rest of the game, but what I'm aiming to discuss in this video is that if nearly 10 hours of your life isn't enough for a piece of media to strike a chord with you, why should you carry on? I was giving it the benefit of the doubt after 5 hours of nothing, but 10? What I'm trying to say is that if it ends up getting absolutely incredible at like the 20-hour mark or something, then in my opinion, it's failed totally in terms of its pace and with investing its players. Because that's nearly an entire day of gameplay to get to that point. With that being said, this video isn't a review. I haven't finished the game because I'm only talking about how I didn't want to finish it after everything I've been through. This is more an impressions video of my first 10 hours. Yeah, 10 hours of a first impression of this game. And the weirdest thing is, this isn't even the worst game I've ever played. It plays exactly how it should, everything works, but the stark contrast between the intrigue and entertainment I got from the story and cutscenes and the bland misery I got from the gameplay supporting them was too much for me. I don't care if the entire point was to make the very idea of delivering items from one location to another soul-crushing and thought-provoking. It's still the thing that I need to do in order to uncover more of the engaging plot. The plot was like a chocolate fondue for dessert after a main course of soil. I honestly think I would have preferred a Death Stranding movie if most of your time was going to be taken up walking around an empty world, posting parcels like an Amazon Prime driver urinating in a bottle. If this is what postmen have to go through every day of their lives, goddamn, think twice before you complain about your Fire TV stick being late. And I mean, I would absolutely go into more detail about the gameplay, because there is a lot to go into, and I would go into detail about everything else. I mean, have you seen these visuals? Boom, 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 I want them in my room! It's beautiful! A lot of work clearly went into this game, which makes me all the more sad. You see all of this here? This is disappointment, and as we all know from experience, that is worse than any kind of angery. Oh what, you think that being a postman is a quick and easy job, do you? Do you have any idea what I had to do to get this to you? Picked it up and moved it. Yeah, I hope that hurt. I'm off. What the hell is in here? I don't even remember ordering anything. Thank you so much to the sponsors of today's video, Cove Audio and their amazing portable Bluetooth speaker, the Commuter. Just like Sam Porter Bridges. And if he ends up crying all over it, it's okay. Because it's water resistant. Cove have been incredibly loyal and supportive to my channel recently, and I couldn't be happier about that because I've been using their sound product so much over the last year, it's not even funny. No, I mean it. It's not funny. I've got 2 commuters now. That's a serious problem. With a quick wireless connection to any computer, smartphone, or tablet, you can get powerful X-bass subwoofer beats pulsing through you wherever you go, even up to 30 feet away from the speaker. It lasts for up to 8 hours on a single charge, doubles as a speakerphone for incoming calls, has a normal and bass mode function for any kind of location, and even fits in any standard cup holder for the ultimate portable experience. You can even stick it inside an Oculus Rift controller if you're nuts. If you head to the description right now, you'll see that I was able to grab you all today a special price for this thing just in time for the holidays. All you gotta do is use the code Caddy68 on checkout and you can get one of these amazing things for under $70 with free shipping in the US. Why isn't it $68? If you live outside the US though, be careful about the shipping because you'll never know what needs to be done to get it to you. Ah, that's not Monster. Ah, wait a second, where were we? Ah yeah, the aim of the game. Yeah. What the hell do you even do in the game, though? It's quite simple, really. You play as Sam Porter Bridges. Sam Porter Bridges. More like Jim Tater Wedges. And taking away the fact that he can come back from the dead, which ends up playing massively into the story, all he knows is delivering. That's his life. Day after day, you're sent around by higher-ups trying to rebuild America after a world catastrophe, but they can't do that without your unique skills centered around delivering shit. Once you're able to reach certain areas, you can connect them into the giant communications grid, as it were, allowing them to not only keep in the loop with everyone else, but send and receive vital packages of their own in order to carry on rebuilding this desolate and broken country by using their own unique skills. The reason this is such a difficult task that not just anybody can do, though, is that the world, although empty, is dangerous, and nobody really wants to go out and deliver things themselves for fear of death. And if the wrong people die, how are we gonna fix Merc? The world itself not only attacks people and cargo with this rain called Timefall that aggressively ages anything it touches, but also has plenty of rogue camps out on the field full of evil people trying to stop all deliveries in the world, steal supplies, and capture the entire world for themselves. To be honest though, as far as I saw, they aren't really a problem. They barely put up any kind of a fight at all, especially when you get a projectile weapon later on. Also, after this mysterious event called the Death Stranding happened, beings known as Big Titters appeared on the cusp between life and death to attack any other living thing. You can't see them, you can't fight them off, and whenever they claim a victim, a huge explosive crater is left in their wake. This is why nobody wants to go outside themselves and reconnect everything. So who is the best person for such a difficult job? I know! Postman Pat! By taking any and all orders from everyone around you, you pick up boxes of important crap, throw them on your back, and deliver them to their destination or put them in a postbox for someone else, where you can then get more stuff to make your job easier and carry more important supplies to get to other places so that everyone can make new gadgets together and fix the world. You are essentially a human shield for the bigger and brainier lot using their inventions to try fixing everything from behind the walls of a bunker, while you risk everything sending it out. You're an expendable asset to a degree. And boy are you made to feel like that. If I can give the game credit somewhere, it's that you feel like someone being worked to the bone with the weight of the world on your shoulders. Oh, I gets it! Kojima's very subtle! And you at least aren't as fragile as a toothpick. When you're thrown into any and all stealth and combat situations, you are capable of defending yourself. You just aren't exactly Shadow the Hedgehog. Plus, that baby you carry around on your chest does have a purpose. It's not just weird for the sake of it. He can detect the location of invisible enemies and such, and you can end up carrying way more than you'd ever expect. In fact, you end up looking like a giraffe for 75% of the game, and it's so stupid. Here's the thing though, aside from the timefall being a constant worry, these moments of being hunted by ghosts or intercepted by evil people are so infrequent in comparison to the endless and tiresome amounts of walking and delivering you'll be doing. This is basically all of the footage I captured for nearly 10 hours of gameplay, and no matter how brilliant it gets if the curtain is lifted after a certain point in the story, it's still hours and hours of this. The best way I can think of it is that Death Stranding is Crazy Taxi, but without the crazy or the taxi. So it's just man. The easier difficulty options may recommend you pick them if you have little experience in action games, but I can assure you right here and now, at least from the hours I played, this is not an action game. You can make any and all claims about the core of the game being the entire point, that the lowest of the working class are vital in rebuilding and reconnecting everyone in our world, how we take what we have for granted, and how the game is supposed to be monotonous because you're supposed to feel like a fatigued errand boy and sympathize more with the unappreciated people in our world, but at the end of the day, the game still wants me to play it in this state in order to reinforce the themes of the story, and I'd be absolutely fine with that if this were an indie experimental game that costed a fifth of the price and lasted me a few hours at most. I mean, The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is one of my favourite games of all time that has barely anything in it but walking, but that is a $20 game that lasts for 4 to 5 hours and does a lot more with itself in that time in terms of world exploration and story. This is a $60 game that has you repeatedly doing the same painfully slow delivery stuff for tens of hours. Tens of hours. In fact, how long does it take most people to finish the game? Oh yeah, roughly 50 hours. What? Take Shadow of the Colossus for a second. There's a lot of elements in that game that are similar to Death Stranding, but it all feels like it has greater purpose. Not only because you get a totally epic and unforgettable boss waiting for you after the long empty treks, but you feel the isolation and get the point that the game wants to hammer into you. It wants you to experience the downtime to strengthen the narrative. It makes you realize how small you are. You question if you're doing the right thing, and you feel everything it needs you to feel in 6 to 8 hours. That's how long it needs, it doesn't overstay its welcome, and provides a unique experience that isn't conventionally very action-packed or thrilling for a lot of it. Now imagine if Shadow of the Colossus lasted for 50 hours, and maybe you'll see what my issue is. Death Stranding succeeds in making you feel a certain emotion in its gameplay, but in my opinion it takes it way too far. I don't see the artistic value in making the gameplay as dull as it is for this long, making the scope this huge, especially when there's a very interesting story accompanying it that I'd like to see very much. And if I was supposed to question anything on these treks, all I wondered about was if there was an apocalypse in the future, would the only thing left be Monster Energy.
Monster Energy! It gives you the strength and energy to throw the rest of it away!
I can't even say it's like one of those truck simulator games where the entire point is to just drive for hours on end in real time, because at least there you know what you're getting. You're buying a simulator, and typically once you're set up in a simulator, you can allow yourself to zone out and just enjoy the minimalism and simplicity. You can relax here, and I would say the same for Death Stranding, except there's too much maintenance and babysitting going on, which never allowed me to enjoy my surroundings or get lost in the atmosphere. There's so many gauges, meters, menus, worrying about the state of your packages, stress levels of your baby, state of your shoes, stopping and starting to grab more packages and life-saving supplies, stamina refilling, building items to climb difficult terrain easier, and even a balance mechanic that you constantly need to correct by either holding each trigger down every so often to shift the weight of your deliveries on your back, or by holding both triggers down all of the time to keep your balance but slow you right down. All of this stuff in any other context would be depth, but here, it's just the game nagging at me when I'm already bored just walking everywhere. They were annoyances and interruptions more than management mechanics to me, and I couldn't get sucked into the world.
Furthermore, the names in this game are bloody dumb! Die Hardman? What's that about? We're just putting movie titles as names in our games now and then adding man on the end? Well, if that's the case, where's Shrek 2 Man?
The first time in the game where I felt like any kind of meaningful stakes were on the line came in for me at the 6.5 hour mark. No, I'm not joking. That was the first time I felt engaged with the game and like I was affecting something, like I had to organically react to something. It was 5 hours before I found my first vehicle to make travel faster and easier. It was 8 hours before I could use a projectile weapon to deal with groups of enemies much faster. It was 8.5 hours before I could start building my own vehicles in case my current one got destroyed or the battery ran out and I couldn't build a generator at that time. But ultimately, these upgrades don't matter to me, because whether you're using a vehicle, creating ladders and ropes for easy climbing, using exoskeletons to carry more and run faster, cradling your baby whenever it's stressed, or even taking advantage of the online features to give items to other players or share vehicles and even build new structures to make traveling easier, it's all to facilitate the same exact pedestrian gameplay you've been doing for hours and hours beforehand. but just slightly faster. This even extends to the side quests, which are just more and more deliveries, exactly what you're doing for the main quest. None of the new mechanics or upgrades improved my experience, it just made it less painful. As painful as some of the glitches I found though? No, not as painful as them. I mean, they're funny and everything, but they also totally messed up what I was in the middle of doing, so that's not great, is it, Sonny Jim? Jeez Louise, look at me go!
Also, Normus Reedum is disgusting. He uses the toilet, doesn't wash his hands, and then strokes all over his face. I know, instead of getting poo germs off our fingers, let's take a selfie! Oh yeah, the online's a thing in this game, isn't it?
So much like how the game is supposed to make you feel totally alone and everything as an individual, there are some glimmers of hope in the form of other online players delivering other things at the same time as you, just not in your world, linking into the theme of technology and connectivity in the story. You can all leave signs for each other for hints, tell each other to not give up, build bridges for easy crossing of canyons, leave ladders behind to get across deep bodies of water, and even work together to complete construction of loads of different travel routes by chipping in your own collected resources. This stuff is all useful, and it was nice to see how far other people would go to make sure your own deliveries are made as smooth as possible, and I also liked being told to keep on keeping on every so often.
Keep on keeping on.
But if this was supposed to make me think about how amazing connectivity is and how social interaction is important even if you never see who you're affecting, no, sorry, I don't get it. Not just because you only do things for other players for the sake of getting more likes to increase your rank and get more items, meaning it's ultimately selfish, but in hindsight, it's also depressing because it only served to remind me that I'm not the only one boring myself to tears running around a load of rocks for 2 hours at a time. Not even the incredible visuals and use of music gripped me. It just made me think, I'd rather just go out myself, get some exercise, and look at the wonders of nature in real life. So I did. See this here? These are called the Wookiee Hole Caves. They're in Somerset, England, and became a tourist attraction once archaeologists discovered the bones of an old woman living inside them with a perfectly spherical crystal ball, starting the legend of the Witch of Wookiee Hole. The caves are genuinely breathtaking and are even right next to Cheddar Gorge, a colossal series of limestone valleys that reminds me a lot of Death Stranding's visuals. That's Keris. Say hello, Keris. Hey.
Did you also know that level 2 on the NES game Battletoads was named after this series of caves, and not after Star Wars like everyone seems to think? Well, that was fun, wasn't it? Back to peeing on a rock.
Caddy, what the hell are you doing?
Leave me alone! I'm pretending I'm in Death Stranding!
So we've all seen human enemies many a time before in other games, and honestly, yeah, I can't say much about them here. The stealth works fine, the combat works fine, the idea of them looking to steal all of your packages and you being able to steal their stuff in return is fine. So what about the more interesting aspect of the game, the BTs? What are they? What do they do? This is one of the things the game tries to stick out from the crowd with. Entire sections of stealth with invisible enemies that your baby can only point towards and flash your radar faster as they get closer. You have to remain still, hold your breath if they get too close, and it's all a bit spooky. Except it's not. Again, if these encounters improve as the game goes on, I don't care, because in my opinion it takes way too long for that to happen if that is true. Up until where I stopped playing, these things posed barely any kind of threat at all and aren't that creepy, mostly because you can't see anything. Every single encounter of BTs for me wasn't a nail-biting life on the line situation, it was a delay. You know when you play Slender and whenever you see the Slender Man, you just need to go the opposite direction? That's exactly what you do here. It's a constant game of rerouting your sat-nav due to a road blockage you can't see. They're slow, not very exciting, not tense, and oh my god, if you have a vehicle on you, you can just drive by them without a care in the world, totally breaking this mechanic in half. The only part where I felt any kind of tension or panic was at this part here where I tried to bike up a rocky highland like a dumbass and ended up getting caught by the BTs. I lost my bike, a ton of packages fell off my back, and then I was randomly swept away back down the hill straight into the mouth of this giant squid-faced whale. This bit was fantastic. I was lost, confused, freaking out, and then I escaped the thing. Only to see my bike returned with all of my missing packages and nothing else was affected. It was just an inconvenience. Again, it was just a delay. And even better, after going through with all of this, I still ended up S-ranking the delivery anyway, so again I wondered what indeed the point of the BTs were. In fact, whether it was a side quest or main quest, whatever happened to me, however long it took, however far I travelled, I still ended up S-ranking practically every single delivery I did. I just kept on S-ranking. And that's cool and all, but I don't know why I was S-ranking, so every single one felt like a hollow victory. In fact, when it came to another part later on, I even let the BTs deliberately catch me just to see if I could get another one of those cool oily squid whales. And I didn't, but I got this cool wolf-looking thing instead, and I was stocked up on weapons to fight it, so instead of running away like last time, I was able to fight it, and I had fun at this point. I had to let the bad guys nearly kill me in order to feel engaged with what I was doing. The real funny thing about all of this though is that I tried being clever on the first boss. The main bad guy, Higgs, told me that I should let his pet monster eat me if I was tired of the grind and wishing for an end to it all.
So you know what I did? I figured, this is a Kojima game. The dude is famous for putting wacky Easter eggs and clever fourth wall breaking boss level solutions in his game. So I tried something a little funny here. I thought, how about I let the boss flatten me? And you know what happened when I let it do that? I died, got a game over, and had to restart. I thought that might have been the point. I thought I was supposed to be tired of the grind and figured I'd take the bad guy up on his offer just to see if something happened. Secret dialogue, a trophy, a new pair of pants I could wear in the game, anything. But no, I just got a game over. So in the end, in a game where I'm supposed to be fighting the bad guys, I ended up agreeing with the bad guys.
Like I said at the beginning of this video though, this emotion from me right now is all stemming from disappointment, because I can see every single thing the game does brilliantly. I don't hate Death Stranding at all, but I just don't understand why it takes so long to get going, or why it fights with you for as long as it does, and it just completely lost me. And when I mentioned this on Twitter, loads of people were telling me, oh, just give it one more hour, but that's not the point, because I'm giving one more hour of an already 9 to 10 hour journey that I didn't enjoy, so I don't think the game has earned any more of my own time. And personally, if I was looking for one particular thing out of a game, everything that Death Stranding had to offer me so far has been done better with a variety of other games already. Do I want a walking simulator that takes its minimalistic gameplay, organically weaves it into the story, and doesn't cost anywhere near as much? I'll play Firewatch. Do I want an utterly giant open world with ridiculous scope that allows me to traverse practically anywhere at my own pace? I'll play Breath of the Wild. Do I want to feel totally alone, but with the subtle online mechanics working in the background, centered around me being able to help other players in other games while remaining in single player, and with this distant sense of camaraderie as the other players leave me hints and messages to remind me that I'm not as alone as I feel? I'll play Dark Souls. Do I want stealth mechanics in a huge open world with endless possibilities? I'll play Metal Gear Solid 5, another Kojima game. Even for eye candy, do I want something that just looks breathtaking and nothing else, but also has better animations and realism as I react to the environment, and has a more engrossing truckload of gameplay possibilities with a brilliant story? I'll play Red Dead Redemption 2. And come on, seriously, those tripping over animations in Death Stranding are downright laughable, and when you jump around the world you look like a member of the Goof Troop.
Not even open. If you're asking me, the characters and the world are all that Death Stranding really has going for it, at least where I decided to stop playing, where I couldn't take anymore. Well, that and the BB noises coming out of the controller, that's pretty cute. Which means I'm not entirely done with Death Stranding just yet. I think I just might watch a couple of cutscene sets on YouTube or something. I don't want to play the game anymore. And while I'm watching those cutscenes, I'm going to be drinking Monster Energy, the sponsors of today's video.
Subscribe.
Hello, I'm hiding in the dark, because I think I might have made a few enemies from this video, but this is what I think, it's my opinion, I'm sticking to my guns, so sorry if you don't agree with me, but if you stayed until this part of the video, thank you so much. In my opinion, you're fantastic for staying this far and listening to me joke about silly potato wedge names and stuff like that. But anyway, thank you so much to every single person on the screen right now that has helped support this channel via Patreon. Wouldn't be able to do this without you guys, so thank you. If you want to follow me on social media, go to the description below to find my Instagram and my Twitter. They are the two social media sites I'm on all the time, always posting pictures, always posting jokes, talking about what games I'm playing, posting silly nonsense. So yeah, that's where you want to find all of that stuff. And before the outtakes come on at the very end of this video, these bloopers, special thank you to the top tier Patreon supporters for this month. Basil, Mitchell Reed, AD Thornton Smith, Nightshade 96, MD The Dude, Exopaz, Matthew Hubble, Daniel LaRosa, GTFO Brikachu, Matthew O'Donnell, TARDIS Type 40, Caleb Sanders, Red-Eyed Critic, Fart Rules, Doom Guy, Luke Jones, Brandon Butler Williams, J-Man Crew, The Game Shed, Maiden of Ravens, Anders Andal, Mr. Peachy, and X-Shadow Hunter ZX. Thank you so much, every single one of you amazing people.
Yeah, I hope that hurt. I'm off. Oh.
Well, that wasn't the idea. I'm supposed to get it stuck. Monster Energy. It gives you the strength and energy. You can even stick it inside an Oculus Rift control. Oh, no. You can even stick it inside an Oculus Rift controller.
Caddy, what the hell are you doing?
Oh. I forgot the word. Okay, I usually forget the line. I forgot the first word. That was a good one. Have you heard of the word?